other good fighters, too. So it was my first real test, in other words.
But then the big chance, the one that would catapult him to the title, but it didn't. The result was a controversial 15-round draw, and Vito Antuofermo was still champion.
Vito, after the fight, dropped his head, knowing that he had lost. I came out of the ring, and I had seen Joe Louis. And Joe Louis had grabbed me by the hand, and he says, hey, he says, look, kid, he says, I think you won the fight. He says, don't get discouraged. And I said, no, I'm not going to get discouraged. I said, I'm going right back into the gym. I'm going back to school.
3 months later, Marvin went back to the classroom, giving Algerian Lucy Pamani, the number 6-ranked WBC contender and the winner of 20 straight fights, a lesson in the art of the knockout.
We just kept the ball rolling. I fought this Lucy Pamani, which was an unbeaten fighter. Had a good breakout, just like this Obel that we're getting ready to fight, and I knocked him out in the second round.
Marvin had to wait for Alan Minter to dethrone Antuofermo while he decisioned to tough Marco Serraldo himself. In time, he'd get his second shot at the title.
Sure, we're discouraged. Marvin was discouraged, but he fought harder. This is what I'm trying to say from the old school. If you knock me down, I'll get up again. And I think you realize what went on when we went to London. Nothing was going for us. We knew this here. I said, Marvin, he said, you can't leave it up to the judges. He said, this is my judge and jury, right here. And you saw him when the bell sounded. He was ferocious. He was awesome.
Finally, amidst the shower of bottles and debris, Marvin was crowned a middleweight champion of the world.
I learned from that Antuofermo fight what I had to do, and that was I had to hurt this man really bad. Had to make sure that he couldn't continue this fight in order for me to become what I wanted, to make my dream come true, and that was to become the middleweight champion of the world.
So he won the championship, and then that hectic hustle afterwards wasn't nice to look at, but he brought it back to the United States. He's got the dual champion, so he's proud as heck over that. So am I, my brother Pat.
This is everything to me. It means a lot to me. And not only to get one, but to get two. And these are beautiful. It's only made for me. That's the way I like it. And I tell you, Obel's gonna be in trouble if he tries to take these here from me come January 17th.
You know, I think Marvin Haglar probably said it best, Ray, when we asked him why he just wasn't getting a shot at the title earlier. He said, I guess I'm just too good for my own good. Oh, we've talked about Marvin Haglar. We're going to talk more about Marvin Haglar. What about his opponent, Fulgencio Obelmejias? Larry Merchant, have you had an opportunity to see him, and what do you know about him?
I don't know a whole lot about him, except that I'm going to call him by his Americanized handle, Fully Obel. I know this about him, too. He and Marvin Haglar have both knocked out somebody named Lamont Lovelady. So help me. Sounds like a porn star. The trouble is, all 30 of his opponents have been names like Lamont Lovelady. Give him this. They haven't beaten him. He's beaten them. But questions do arise. How did he vault from obscurity into being the #1 contender of both boxing bodies in a very short time? Can he take a punch in this class of competition? Does he have the stamina for 15 rounds? We have the makings of a kind of a sting here. Either the public is going to get stung or Marvin Haglar is going to get stung. We have some film of Fully Obel we'd like to show you. He is definitely not a raging bull, but he is a toreador with a very quick and very strong left and right hand. Let's take a look.
Fulgencio Obelmejias is currently the #1 ranked contender for Marvin Haglar's middleweight crown. He is 28 years old, a native of Venezuela with 30 straight wins. On December 17, 1979, he took on Sugar Ray Phillips in Caracas. Early in round 2, Fully Obel, as he has been dubbed here in the States, demonstrated the knockout style, which has earned him the nickname The Animal. Phillips would only go 4 rounds on this particular night. He had lasted 7 rounds 2 years earlier with Marvin Haglar. But this fight was in Obel's home. He has become a national hero in Venezuela, with 28 knockouts to his credit. Constantly applying pressure, he attacks his opponents with both hands, but clearly his best weapon is a devastating left hook. 1 year later, on October 31st, 1980, Obelmejias found himself in the ring in Rome, Italy. His opponent, another American, Leroy Green Jr. The outcome, once again, a knockout. Early in round 1, the South American champion was the aggressor, and it was quickly apparent that his 29th straight victory was only a question of time. This ball would only go 3 rounds. As Green vainly hung on, Obelmejias took another step toward the title. He is a Venezuelan with a dream. He wants to bring the middleweight championship home to his country, home to his people. Fulgencio Obelmejias has journeyed here with a single purpose. He wants Marvin Haglar's crown.
Barry Tompkins with Sugar Ray Leonard and Larry Merchant. We talked about the fact that this crowd was stone quiet. Totally different story now.
Well, it looks like there are a few hundred of his countrymen here, and they're sounding like they've filled the place themselves. But I hear the faint echoes in the background of "We Want Marvin," and that sounds like him coming.
Marvin Haglar coming into the ring now. He, of course, very popular amongst the folks in Boston here. It was a promoter here in Boston, Rip Valenti, who really got him into the limelight, got him his first big matches, and he has been ever since very popular here in the city of Boston. Born in Newark, New Jersey, but fights out of Brockton, Massachusetts, went up there as a teenager, and he has gone on to become the middleweight champion of the world. He's a big hitter, and he's in against the guy who, at least apparently, is also a big hitter.
Oh, yes. Obel looks to be very lean, and he packs a good right hand, which is the best shot to hit a southpaw with.
Let's take a look at the tail of the tape and see how it adds up. It's pretty much even, as you can see. Haglar and Obelmejias, both 28 years old. Obelmejias with a very definite height advantage, although he does not have a reach advantage. So Haglar with the longer arms of the two. You saw the way it went, and we are just about set to get it away here. Marvelous Marvin Haglar, the middleweight champion of the world, against the challenger, Fulgencio Obelmejias. The crowd is on its feet here at the Boston Gardens, and I mean to tell you, it is packed to the rafters here. Getting the introduction of some former champions here in the world, former world champions here.
I'm not sure who that was. I didn't hear the name, but it may be Paul Pender, who fought the last championship here 19 years ago. DeMarco is a popular figure here. He just had the championship for one fight, lost it to Carmen Basilio.
Massachusetts, one-time leading contender in the middleweight class, and New England middleweight champion, and also an upcoming and popular legislator, Joe DiNucci.
Well, Marvin Haglar and Fulgencio Obelmejias, while some of the introductions still go on in the ring, have had some common opponents. The ever-popular Lamont Lovelady. They each KO'd Lovelady. Obelmejias in 3 rounds down in Caracas. Haglar handled him in 7 rounds. A fellow by the name of Thomas was knocked out by both men. Obelmejias in the 5th round, Haglar in the 3rd round. Sugar Ray Phillips, isn't everybody named Ray Sugar Ray these days? Sugar Ray Phillips KO'd by both men also. Haglar took 7 rounds to handle him. Obelmejias took 4 rounds. And another fellow by the name of Warren also knocked out by both fighters. Obelmejias took 8 rounds to handle him. And Haglar 7, but I think, Ray, you made an interesting point in that Obelmejias got a lot of those guys really when they were past their prime in boxing.
Yes, he's had a lot of knockouts, but these guys were old. So,
Ray Leonard here right in the middle of a little talk that he was giving us, got introduced by the public address announcer and takes his bows as the welterweight champion of the world as you look at Marvin Haglar.
I want to mention that we saw DeMarco here in the ring. When he fought Basilio here over 20 years ago, the gate was about $175,000. Tonight the gate is over $500,000, and that breaks the record by about 3 times. I don't know how it factors in there with inflation, but it is an indication that Marvin Haglar has, as a champion anyway, become an attraction here. This is the first fight ever with a $100 ringside seat here in Boston.
You know, it is an interesting thing, though. We talk about the big salaries and the big gates and all that kind of thing now. Until February of 1979, the biggest payday that Marvin Haglar ever had was $15,000. And that, you know, by boxing standards, not a whole lot of money, and it wasn't that long ago.
Between the television rights fee and the live gate, which will be somewhere around $900,000 and possibly up to $1 million, Haglar will wind up with between $400,000 and $500,000. The challenger, as far as we know, is getting $25,000, but it's conceivable he has a piece of the Venezuelan television rights, and I'm told that the Venezuelan television rights are more valuable than any other fight rights in South America.
He, in fact, Ray, has done some color commentary on boxing in his native Venezuela, so see that, just watch out.
Well, he covered Haglar's fight against Minter.
That's exactly right. He is also extremely popular in Italy, and Italian television is here ringside as well as Venezuelan television. He had a couple of fights in Rome, and in fact, he had a couple of very impressive victories in Rome, so he has really captured the fancy of the Italian boxing fans, too, and they're really good fans. Still continuing with the introduction of some of the judges, local celebrities, and that kind of thing in the ring. More people in the ring right now than there are outside the ring, I think. And we are now just about set for the national anthems of both Venezuela and, of course, the United States. Let's listen.